This short video is an overview of how we built the replica of HMS Royal Oak. This is a 1.5 metre long battleship from World War II. After reviewing the drawings for several days, collecting as much photographic and documentation that I could find, this led me to be able to plan out the best way to construct this model and to make it as accurate as physically possible. The first process was to work on the hull, to clean up all the fiberglass residue, fit the rudder and the propeller shafts, before working on the laser cut timber decks. Once I'd finished the main construction on the hull, it was then time to start on the paintwork by priming and then giving 6 or 7 coats to each colour as required before the lacquer. This took approximately 2.5 days. As this is a large model at a scale of 1 to 128, it meant that I could purchase a number of off-the-shelf items such as the life rafts, the main turret guns, some of the smaller guns and the pom-poms, including a number of white metal items such as the davits for the life rafts and lifeboats, and a number of other smaller items such as the anchors and so forth. With all resin cast items, as a mould is used it gradually degrades and therefore extra work can be required just to clean up any blemishes that are caused through the casting process. Part of the creation process is to design the parts required for 3D printing, such as the spotting deck, the searchlight platforms, and finally right through to doing the crane and its jib, which were all 3D printed using liquid resin at a level of 25 microns per layer. The 8-barrel pom-poms that I had purchased for the kit were slightly rudimentary, so I needed to do some additional work to improve the look and detail of these models. This included cutting away excess resin, drilling out the detailing such as the recoil sections and the rear of the guns, and replacing items such as the white metal barrels as they were slightly overscale. So I redrew these and 3D printed them, added additional wire framing work for the rear of the guns, and then added the sights and so forth to give a much more detailed part. Once they started work on the mast, especially the rear mast, it needed ladder runs added. These were made from copper wire, folded, and then 2 holes drilled per run, and there was 32 rings per leg, given a total of 64 runs to fix in, plus 2 ladder sections on the upper sections of the mast. All of the superstructure, platforms, funnel and a number of other fittings were designed and then 3D printed. I made a number of jigs up to help the spacing of the stanchion pins and the cording for it. Each stanchion pin was 17mm apart on the main decks and 12mm apart on the other decks. This took several days of drilling and individually fitting each pin, checking the height, etc. I then moved on to working on the cord. This was again spaced at 4 to 5mm apart, depending on which deck it was, whether it had 3 cords or 2 cords. In the final stages of this model making process, I completed painting the lifeboats, adding all the detailing, including chains and anchors, and finally the 2 flags on the forward and stern flagstaffs. This is the completed model. In this sequence of footage you'll see some close-up images of the model, and this is what 512 hours or thereabouts can produce. Thank you for watching.